is Jack. We're going to talk wrestling. We're going to talk WrestleMania weekend. That's how we're going to start our show. If you couldn't tell, I'm wearing an NWO shirt. I got an ECW flag and a Thank You Bray Wyatt flag behind me. I am a pro wrestling fan. And what other better way to start my shows or my talks than talking about WrestleMania weekend? Before we get started, though, I do want to talk about, I try to stay away from the negativity in pro wrestling, right? I love it, right? And I'm not ashamed to say I love it. I've been battling with people about pro wrestling and how much I love it for years. I'm not here to complain and to bitch. I'm just here to tell you my opinion, and I will try to stay as positive as I can. Sometimes it skews, but it's only because of my passion, right? And I do want to talk about WrestleMania week and WrestleMania weekend. And mostly I wanted to wait till SmackDown last night because I do feel that WrestleMania week starts with SmackDown before WrestleMania, all through the Hall of Fame, through WrestleMania, then into Monday Night Raw, NXT, and then obviously that following Friday night SmackDown. But I do want to talk about a couple of things during WrestleMania weekend that people might not know or people might want my opinion on. I do not know, right? But first and foremost, I want to make a shout out to all my friends that I watch wrestling with. They help me make it fun. That's 90% of the reason why I watch wrestling is because we mark out, we have fun, we have a good time. Shout out to my buddy Scott, his sister, and my friend Allie, my buddy EJ, one of my closest friends Joe, and then my neighbor my neighbor Scott, who came over, which we had an unbelievably good time, and I'm sure those people will be listening to my rant about wrestling, because those are the only people that listen to my rant about wrestling, because my wife doesn't want to listen to me about it anymore. She says, unless it has to do with Finn Balor taking his shirt off, she doesn't want to listen to it anymore. I do want to talk a little bit about the shows around WrestleMania, right? And I do want to make a couple quick shout-outs to people that I noticed during WrestleMania week, during WrestleMania weekend, that I think needs to get shout-outs for, right? First off, Rusev, Aleister Black. I liked them in AEW, but I think they are better off being here in WWE. Welcome home, guys, and the World Championships are waiting for you, right? And talking about Aleister Black, I want to give a quick shout out to Zelina Vega. She has worked so unbelievably hard to get to the point where she is at, and she won the United States Championship last night. I love it. And as speaking of last night, all the people that were in the ladder match, TLC match, but I specifically want to shout out Angelo Dawkins, because I constantly hear people, not constantly, but I do start hearing rumors and rumblings that WWE has plans for Montez Ford in a singles push. And me be loving tag teams, I worry about tag teams when they split up. Angelo Dawkins does an unbelievable job of making people be like, wait, I am just as good. And I think Angelo Dawkins crushed it last night. I think they all crushed it. Big Machine Guns fan, big DIY fan. I love the Street Profits. But I want to shout out to Angelo Dawkins, right? And the other shout out I want to make too is Natalya, right? I'm a big I watch Bloodsport. I'm a big indie guy. I stay up to date with indies in the United States mostly. But a lot of people went to this Bloodsport show. And for those of you who don't know what Bloodsport is, it is pretty much a submission knockouts rule set, right? 15-minute rounds with a 5-minute overtime if you need it, right? But there are no ropes. It's just the ring. So it's kind of like the WWE Underground matches. And first person I want to shout out to that is, Pete Dunne was there. He did an unbelievable job. Zack Sabre Jr. also so unbelievable. Karrion Kross, so unbelievable. Josh Barnett, so unbelievable. And also Natalya, right? Sorry about that. Natalya, again and again and again, Natalya constantly reminds people that she is here, right? I think it's a great move by WWE, because Natalya is wrestling for the NWA. She's challenging for the NWA Women's Championship in a couple of weeks. I think it's an unbelievable job for WWE to be like, let's have Natalya go out on what the Japanese wrestlers call excursions, right? It's mostly famous for sending a wrestler that's from a certain promotion and sending him to another promotion or sending him to America to wrestle or Mexico to wrestle and kind of reinventing themselves. I think of Nakamura, probably the greatest reinvention of all time, being a very just like badass, cut and dry wrestler, and then he went over to Mexico and came back as kind of like this badass, but with like an artsy, flamboyant style, and the Nakamura that we love today. But WWE's kind of doing it with Natalya, right? She went into this Bloodsport match, which first off, she came out to a Rage Against the Machine song, so check one, okay? And she crushed it. She crushed it. She got hit hard, and then she hit even harder. And it was unbelievable. So shout out to Natalya. I can't talk about WrestleMania weekend and the events around WrestleMania with an ECW flag behind me, other side, and not talk about the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying Sabu, who had his retirement match. He had it against Joey Janela. It wasn't great, but I loved it. These retirement matches, when people are pretty beat up and hurt, they can be tough. He took two extremely crazy bumps in crazy Sabu style and crazy Sabu fashion. I've watched this dude for so long. I've watched these ECW guys for so long that I kind of don't want to see them doing something so unbelievably dangerous when they're at the age that they are. But he came to perform, and he did an unbelievable job. And thank you, Sabu, for all the great memories. There's nobody, I think, besides Mick Foley that has made my jaw drop on the floor more than Sabu. And we can't not talk about Joey Janela. To me, Joey Janela is one of the MVPs of the weekend, right? Not only did he have this match with Sabu that apparently he didn't think was actually going to happen earlier in the day, but he had this match with Sabu. He gave it his all, and he took the L, right, as a show of respect. And then the very next night, after wrestling in a no ropes barbed wire match with Sabu, the very next night was in a battle royal, and Brody Lee's son made his pro wrestling debut, gave Joey Janela a stunner, and threw Joey Janela over the top rope. Anybody that has a problem with Joey Janela, they can come talk to me. The dude, even though he has a different mind for the business and he's a little bit crazy, right? He's one of my favorite wrestlers, and he's definitely a giving guy and loves the business. And just because people think differently about the business and want to do things a little bit differently doesn't make them wrong. Joey, you the man. So he's one of the MVPs of the weekend, for me at least. But I do want to get into my opinions for WrestleMania. I thought it was a great show. Great 2 nights. I think Triple H strikes again. And again, I want to talk to you guys. This is my opinions, right? If you have different opinions, go for it. Leave it in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong if you want to. But let's try to keep it as positive as we can, because, again, it's professional wrestling, right? We all love it, right? I oftentimes think it's pro wrestling fans versus the world, right? Because if you don't understand pro wrestling, you think pro wrestling's stupid, right? And if you think pro wrestling's stupid, I think you're stupid, because it is the greatest sport in the world. And I challenge anybody to watch WrestleMania and not find something entertaining on that card, right? I'm also going to give you my star ratings, right? It's going to be 1 through 5, right? I am going to probably get a little heat from my friends for this, but 5-star ratings for me should be coveted and very close. I don't know if I've ever truly seen a 5-star match, right? 5-star ratings have become such a joke and convoluted in pro wrestling. I'm going to try to keep my 5-star ratings as true and as pure as it possibly can, right? I'm sure I've seen a 5-star match. As a matter of fact, I know I've seen a 5-star match, right? I'm being facetious. But have I seen a 6-star match? I don't know about that, right? Have I seen a 7-star match? I don't know about that, right? So I'm going to give you my opinion. And again, it's my opinion. I'm entitled to have an opinion, and sometimes my opinion is wrong. If you ask my wife, she definitely thinks my opinion is wrong some of the time. So most of the time. So let's just start off. Let's go match by match. Jey Uso defeats Gunther at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. Unbelievable that Jey Uso has finally won the World Championship. I give this this match probably a 2-star rating, right? In my personal opinion, it wasn't the best match, it wasn't the worst match, right? Um, it wasn't the best match, it wasn't the worst match, but I enjoyed it, right? 2 stars, really good. You know, I had a really good time doing it. When I first watched this match, the finish of the Gunther's rear naked choke and Gunther tapping out, especially Gunther tapping out so quickly, I didn't like it. I'll be honest with you, I did not like it. But the more I thought about it, right, it more puts that finisher of Gunther's over, right? If Gunther can't even stay in the rear naked choke for that long, and he's the one that is using that move, that must be a badass move, right? So now I'm going with the finish. I think it's pretty good. And the follow-up, following the very next night, I was not expecting him to attack Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, right? Here's fingers crossed for Gunther versus Goldberg at SummerSlam, and Gunther choking out Goldberg, right? One of the matches the next match is one of the matches I was the most excited for WrestleMania, because I thought it had the opportunity to steal the show. Did it steal the show? No. Was it good? Absolutely, right? The New Day versus the War Raiders. First off, Xavier Woods finally kind of getting his WrestleMania moments did not go at a blind eye for me, right? I love Xavier Woods. I've loved him since he was in TNA as Consequences Creed. I am a huge Kofi Kingston fan, if you know me. I thought Kofi Mania is awesome, and we should run it back. Okay, and then the War Raiders, coming off of 2 unbelievably horrible injuries, having this match. I'm going to give this match another 2-star rating, right? It was good, and I thought the New Day needed to win this match. I really did think the New Day needed to win this match. They're so hot as a heel stable right now, and I did not want the Big E, turning on Big E to be, you know, kind of brushed underneath the rug. We needed to capitalize on this, right, before it got stale. And I don't think it's going to get stale. I think the New Day could win another 12 or however many tag team titles they have, another 12 tag team titles with this new Day, right? Jade Cargill beats Naomi. I was not a fan of this match. I'm a big Naomi fan. I'm a big Naomi mark. I'm going to give this half a star, right? I did not like it. I think the finish got a little wonky to me. It did feel like Jade forgot the finish when she went into that powerbomb position and then didn't completely switch it into her finisher. I like Jade. Like, I think Jade is cool. I think Jade is I think she's captivating, right? I think she's like, I look at Jade the same way that I looked at China the first time I saw her, is like, oh my God, this woman is chiseled out of granite, and she could beat the shit out of any human, man or woman, in the world, right? But I didn't like the finish. The finish is what killed it for me. It was really wonky. I was super stoked for this match because it's finally, we have a women's match on a WWE pay-per-view, specifically WrestleMania, that isn't a title match, a grudge match, and we need to see more of this. It needs to be more 50-50, in my opinion, because there's the women's division in WWE right now is smoking the men's division by a mile, and we'll talk more about that going forward. Jacob Fatu versus defeated LA Knight. This was kicked into high gear. I gave this match a 4-star rating. This match set the tone for the rest of the show, right? Jacob Fatu again delivers. LA Knight again delivers, right? And LA Knight, when he is in a situation like this, a big match situation like this, he always delivers like he's a main event caliber type of person. And Jacob Fatu, literally, he's a Samoan werewolf, but he was plucked from MLW and immediately put on the main roster. He didn't go to NXT, so he might be the Samoan werewolf, but he was thrown to the wolves on live television, and he delivered. And in this huge singles match, his first title in WWE as the United States champion, unbelievable. I also liked in his promo last night when he called him, this title makes him America's Most Wanted. I loved that. Shout out to TNA tag team, but that's not what he was going with. But that was a unbelievable promo that he cut last night. I cannot wait for the Solo and Sikoa and him feud. People are, I mean, Jacob might be working as a heel, but everybody loves him as a babyface right now. So it's going to be hard for Solo Sikoa, and we can talk about this later if you guys want to talk about it. It will be hard for Solo Sikoa to get over as a heel with how much Jimmy and Jey Uso like him, or are liked, and them being his little brother, right? So being the little brother, Jay, it's going to be hard for Jay to be the angry little brother, right? So El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix. This match was cool. This match gets 3 stars for me. I was bummed out. I love Rey Fenix. I was excited that I'm excited that he's in WWE. I did feel that this match should have gone to Dragon Lee. I think Dragon Lee's put the time in. I think he's phenomenal, and I think he should have been the person next after Rey Mysterio. I understand where they're coming. I understand wanting to put Rey Fenix on the card, so I get that too. But I was bummed all the way around for Rey Mysterio. I'm a huge Rey Mysterio guy. He's one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. He's if I had to pick a Mount Rushmore, Rey Mysterio would be on it in any capacity. He is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I was so bummed that he was left out of the card, specifically because the AAA announcement earlier in the day. I thought it was important that Rey be a part of the show because of the AAA announcement, and then Vikingo obviously being in the front row. But things happen, and I would prefer Rey Mysterio to get healthy rather than at the age that he's at and getting close to the end of the career, fighting through an injury just to do a WrestleMania thing. Not worth it for me. But I was bummed out, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I'm going to tell you that this match gets 4 stars for me, right? I know that Dave Meltzer gave it 1 star. He's entitled to his opinion, right? But this match was the match I was the least most excited for. And not because I don't like Tiffany, not because I don't like Charlotte. I just wasn't as invested, I think, as people were invested in it. And then this match just came off unbelievably delivered. Just unbelievably delivered, right? It was so hard-hitting. It was so smash-mouth. Tiffany, I think, got her tooth knocked out. She said she didn't, but it looked like she at least cracked her tooth. Maybe it was just her makeup. But then she had Charlotte Flair's boot on her face. Do I think Charlotte Flair took some liberties in the feud and in this match? I definitely think so, right? But there's part of me that thinks that this was like a test for Tiffany Stratton if she could hang, and she did it, This was the most... If I had to pick a strong style type of match in this card, if I had to be like, what was the hardest hitting strong style type of match, it would be Tiffany and Charlotte. These girls laid it in, and it was lay in after receipt, lay in, receipt, lay in, receipt. And I just really enjoyed this match, and I was surprised on how much I enjoyed it. Not because I don't like the two individually, but you guys get it, right? It's like you could like a wrestler and like the other person, but not really interested in them working together, right? You're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll watch the match, but it's nothing like I wasn't as invested, I think, if Bianca was in this match with one of the two of them, right? Or Rhea, I prefer seeing that match. And I think it's because Charlotte and Tiffany are so similar, right? They're wrestling each other, And nobody wants to see Bryan Danielson wrestle Bryan Danielson. Well, maybe people want to see Bryan Danielson wrestle Bryan Danielson. The match would actually be incredible. Maybe Brian would get his 3-hour best 2 out of 3 fall match then. And then the main event for night 1, Seth Rollins defeats Roman Reigns and CM Punk. This gets a 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars for me, close to a 5, but it's a 4.5 stars. The story was so good. I did think Seth was going to win. I thought it was important that Seth won. I did hear rumors going into it that Paul Heyman was going to turn on both Roman and CM Punk and join with Seth, and I didn't buy it. I didn't believe it. I thought the move going into summer was going to be a feud between Roman Reigns and CM Punk with Paul Heyman being in the middle. That's what I thought the where it was going. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I was even at my buddy Joe's house when he got in the chair or got in the ring with the chair and low blowed CM Punk, and I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna pick Roman, and then he got behind Roman. And and I said out loud before the low blow, I go, Paul, you son of a bitch. And both me and my buddy Joe marked out unbelievably for that situation. I do always love a callback. I love long-term storytelling. I love the fact that Roman was finally going to hit Seth in the back with a chair, stab him in the back, A2 Brute, and he wasn't able to again. But I worry about where the Seth and Roman feud is going to be. Maybe Seth is the one that retires Roman. I don't know. But Seth said, I do think WWE is big enough for Punk and Rollins to coexist, but I don't think that WWE is big enough for all of the Shield, right? I think a little bit the reason that Mox went somewhere is he wanted to do something else, yeah, and he wanted to not be in WWE, but maybe it wasn't big enough for the three of them, and now maybe it's not even big enough for the two of them, and Rollins might be the last one standing. I don't know. Let's go into WrestleMania Night 2, the triple threat match. This triple threat match also gets a 4.5 stars. Not a 5. It is damn close to a 5, right? I would like to say this again. For the third year in a row, the women have upstaged the men again. Proven again that they are the absolute best, okay? The absolute best, the matches I'm most excited for, the matches that are the most bangers. It's just, the triple threat match was unbelievable. Again, just like Seth Rollins, I thought it was important that Io Sky win, right? I did think Bianca might turn heel the night before and get involved in Jade's match and then win the world title the next night, but it didn't happen. Anytime you put, and I loved the build to these two triple threat matches that were at WrestleMania had a different feel for the build, right? It was like this. The women's triple threat match was like it was Rhea and Bianca feuding and they were trying to push Io out, and Io was pushing her way back in and getting the best of the two of them, which I thought was great. And then the triple threat match from the night before, it was just singles matches that were interweaved with hatred towards each other that eventually blew up into a triple threat match. It was just great. I sometimes get sick of multi-man matches. Or too many multi-man matches. I'm okay with some multi-man matches because let's be honest, they're fun. We would love, how crazy would it be if we saw, the Bears versus the Packers versus the Commanders in a triple threat football game. It would be, what is happening? This is stupid, but this is incredible, right? But again, I can't speak more highly about Io, Bianca, and Rhea, right? I really hope one day we get a Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio match. I think it would be incredible, and I think it's something that us fans deserve, and I think it would be so fun, and I think Dom would be just incredible at that, Moving on into the street fight with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Just like the New Day match, I thought this had the opportunity to steal the show. And to me, it was 3 stars. It was a great, great, great match. These guys hit each other so hard, right? I think a lot of the time, there's so much chaos going on, and there's so much, John Cena involvement, and Rock involvement, and Punk involvement, and Roman involvement, that people like Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, they don't get forgot about. Triple H definitely doesn't forget about them because he loves these guys. But I think people are like, oh yeah, it's just a Sin City street fight, and then they come and just remind everybody that they're 2 of the absolute best professional wrestlers in the world and big men in the world. And Damian Priest, God, is he awesome? And Drew McIntyre, he is this generation's. I don't even know if he's not, there's no comparison to him. He's just so creative when it comes to social media and grabbing the phone out of people's hands and taking pictures, and then the zingers that he hits people with during the build that are so true and just daggers into the chest. Drew McIntyre needs to win a world title this year, right? Because I'm afraid I'm afraid he's going to cool off and not get that opportunity. But he is so hot. He needs the world title. And I think he might need to be a babyface, right? He needs to have this attitude as a babyface. I don't want to see. I'm fine with the kilt coming back, but I don't want to see that sword coming back unless he's actually beheading someone. I don't want to see a sword in wrestling. Okay, don't give Joey Janela any ideas with the sword. But yeah, that Sin City Street Fight was so much fun and perfectly placed on the card, by the way. And then the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. My buddy Scott, he was the most excited for this match. Just like I said about Drew McIntyre, I felt it was Dom's time to win the Intercontinental Championship, right? I thought it was important that he did, and the reaction that he got, right? I still want Dom to be a shitty heel and things like that, but on special nights like WrestleMania or the Raw after WrestleMania where he's getting babyface pops, I'm cool with it, right? Finn did an unbelievably great job at being a jerk-off in this match to everyone. I mean, here's to Finn, man. I want Finn to be in world title contention. I'm a big New Japan guy. When I got into New Japan, Finn was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He's an Irish boy just like me. I want this to catapult Finn back into... I could, demon or no demon, it doesn't matter to me, but Finn is too good to not be a world champion. And I can't speak more highly of Dom. Braun Breaker's one of these guys that, like, I don't want to say I get sick of, but it's just like I get like, oh, it's another football player guy. Like, I'm sure WWE's going to push him and he's going to be okay. And then he just comes out and he's like, okay, he's not okay. He's amazing, right? And he deserves credit. And that spear makes everyone else should stop doing spears, right? Right? Like CM Punk, when he saw Darby Allin do a suicide dive for the first time, he goes, everybody should stop doing suicide dives because Darby's the best at it. Everyone needs to stop doing spears because Braun Breaker is literally breaking people in half, right? And Penta, I'm so happy for Penta. I'm a big AEW fan. I love AEW just like I love WWE, but I did feel that AEW wasn't using Penta right, and I'm so happy because he's so talented. He's a future world champion, and we've only scratched the surface of what Penta can be, right? He's such an unbelievably good heel. He's such an unbelievably good bad guy, but when he's a good guy, he's a good guy. That Zero Mero thing is so over anywhere you slice it or dice it. I can't remember something being more over, a hand gesture being more over since RVD's thumbs or John Cena, you can't see me, or Stone Cold's middle finger, shit like that, or the DX crotch chop. I think it's on that level. People love to say it. And then Randy Orton versus Joe Hendry, okay? I will admit, right? Kevin Owens is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world, right? I've watched him since he was in ROH as Kevin Steen. I've recently gone back and watched a lot of his PWG stuff, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I haven't watched this yet, But Kevin Owens is one of the best heels. When you let Kevin Owens loose and let him be a heel, okay? He is literally one of the best heels on the planet, right? And there was a small part of me, a very small part of me, that thought Kevin Owens was going to come out the SmackDown before WrestleMania, attack Randy Orton, and tell Randy Orton, now you have no time to prepare for our match, I'll see you tomorrow night, or something of that caliber. I think 50% of that was me thinking that it was a heel move, and the other 50% of me was hope, right? Because I hate when wrestlers get injured, but I really hate when people injure their neck, right? And Kevin Owens is special, and I kind of was hoping that it wasn't true, and I kept hope and things like that, but I was wrong. And I wish Kevin Owens, side note, I wish Kevin Owens nothing but the best. I hope he gets healthy soon, and there's already a hole in WWE without KO, so good luck, Kevin. But Joe Hendry, I heard today that Randy Orton had a list of people, and Randy picked Joe Hendry, right? I'm a big TNA guy, so this was a big moment for me. I was at the Rumble when Joe entered, which I thought was great. I think this shows WWE's growth. Is WWE ever going to be the promotion that I want it to be, where it's like it's going to work with New Japan, or there's going to be a Forbidden Door, AEW Forbidden Door, and it's going to be WWE versus AEW? I don't think so. I don't think that's ever going to happen, right? But if this is the closest we get, having the TNA World Champion come out with the TNA World title, and them saying the TNA World title, and a contracted wrestler from another promotion coming out at WrestleMania to wrestle, if that's the closest we're going to get, I'm cool with it. Vikingo was on the night before. Joe Hendry's on the night here. It's WrestleMania. It's the best of the best, right? And I thought it was incredible. Did I think the match could have lasted longer? Totally. I don't think this hurts Joe Hendry, right? I don't. I don't. Losing to, like he said, losing to Randy Orton is no small feat, right? And if those rumors are true of Randy hand-picking Joe Hendry off of a list of people, good for Randy, right? That shows that Randy is like, okay, let's do this because this will be fun, number one. But two, let's give this kid a rub, because Joe losing gave him a rub, right? Because he got offense in, right? My own little mark in me was praying that Randy Orton picked up the TNA title and raised it, not signifying a challenge, just so I could have that picture in my mind for the rest of eternity, but it's okay. But yeah, I give this match 1 star. It was unbelievable moment, but Randy just, Joe did the thing, or Joe did everything, and then did the turnaround, and then Orton gave him the RKO, and it was a perfect match for Randy. I didn't rate the Fatal 4-Way match. I give that 2 stars. It was a good match. Now we're going Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I am not a Logan Paul guy. I am not a fan of Logan Paul. I do believe that's what makes him such a good heel, and that's why I watch him in WWE so much, because there is true hatred in the world that we live in. Unfortunately, we need that type of that heat, right? And it's not go away heat. It's like I don't like you heat. And it's AJ Styles, man. He's the best. He's the best. I give this match 3 stars. The only reason I don't rate it a little bit higher is because I just don't think. I don't know. I don't believe that Logan isn't practicing his match before it happens, right? And I hate to be that guy, and like I said, I'm going to try not to be negative, but I'm just not a fan of Logan. I get that he brings a lot of eyes to the product, and he needs to be there, and he's a really hated guy, right? But I'm just not, I'm not sold on him being able to, he wouldn't be able to, just have a throwaway match. It was, hey, you're working AJ on a live event tonight. Go figure out the match with AJ. And I don't think he's able to do that. And listen, I'm not gonna give up on him wrestling wise, right? Because I hated The Miz when he first showed up, and then I became a huge Miz believer because Miz is a good worker, right? So yeah, and it's AJ. I think constantly about AJ Styles being. He said on the Chris Van Vliet interview that he's only going to wrestle till he's 50, and that's only about 2 or 3 years away. AJ, I'm begging you to give me 5 more years. Give me one AJ World Heavyweight title run that'll give me full circle. AJ started in WCW years ago, and for him to win the title that looks like the big gold, that is the big gold, would be great for me, right? And great for him. Christopher Daniels just retired. Samoa Joe's talking about retirement. AJ Styles is talking about retirement. Those are my dudes, right? And definitely sad about it and bummed out about it, but and AJ says that he's slowed down. I don't see it, right? Samoa Joe says he's slowed down. I don't really see it, right? Christopher Daniels said he slowed down. I mean, I didn't really see it, but I get it. I get that it's time and things like that, but AJ's my boy, and, I need one more run at the top. So, and then we got the women's championship match. Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch defeat Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I'm okay with it now that I watched Raw and Liv and Raquel got the titles back, right? When they first won the titles, I was like, what's going on? I was bummed about Bayley not being on the card, right? I'm a big Bayley fan. I really like Bayley. My friend CJ is like the biggest Bayley fan, so he was like really mad. I get why they did it, and I get that for storyline purposes and things like that. And I get that this will now give Bayley a feud going maybe into SummerSlam with Becky Lynch, right? But I mean, Bayley, much like Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio missing the show, this kind of left a hole and a bad taste in my mouth. Even though I like Becky Lynch and I thought it was better for the story that this went down the way that it was, Bayley was missed. All right, and I give this match 2 stars. And then John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I got a lot of opinions about this match, right? John obviously beat Cody in a heel way. I don't know if people caught it, and I don't know if it was intended. But it seemed like there was a little bit of a nod to Bray Wyatt and John Cena's matches at WrestleMania when Bray begged him to cheat, and he couldn't do it. John couldn't do it. He couldn't be the good guy. And then the Firefly Funhouse match, Bray begged him to cheat again. And I'm obviously a huge Bray Wyatt fan with the flag behind me. And then Cody being put in this situation where he's got the title and he can't cheat, and it costs him the world championship. I don't know if that was a nod to Bray. I'm going to take it as a nod to Bray because I miss the dude so much, and I thought it was so good and just so creative to put that situation in. And then I've heard a lot of people. I'm going to give this match 2 stars. It was not my favorite WrestleMania match, but I thought it was a main event match, but I thought it was amazing, and I'll tell you why, right? Okay, I'm not going to talk much about The Rock not showing up. I did think it was important. I thought they should have been The Rock in Austin. Last year, I thought it should have been Rock and Austin facing off. And I'll tell you, last year I thought they could have done, Solo, then Cena, then Stone Cold, and Roman takes out Stone Cold, and then they do the Undertaker. But Rock not showing up, I thought was odd, right? I thought it was odd that he was involved in the Elimination Chamber turn and then just didn't do anything, and John hasn't said anything. But I'm going to let the story play out. Maybe there's more to the story. Okay, maybe there is more to the story, right? I would love the story to turn into The Rock is the one that made John Cena famous, and John sold his soul, right? And that's what it turns out to be. But maybe it's not the case. I also love the fact that John has turned on the fans, and he's turned into this whiny, complaining, poor me, when the fans have done that to him for so many years, right? I also thought this match was incredible in the way of being... John, I think, purposefully did the least amount possible in this WrestleMania main event. And I think he did it because everybody's called him the 5 moves of doom. And I think he purposely made the match not boring, but did the least amount possible, right? To not just protect him, but also to be kind of an asshole, right? And if you remember, like, Ric Flair is considered one of the best wrestlers of all time, right? And a lot of the time, Ric Flair got his ass kicked, right? Because he knew people paid to watch him get his ass kicked, right? And in this day and age, when it's so hard to be a heel, it's so hard to get over as a heel, John did the thing of being like, okay, fine, you want to call me 5 moves of doom? Let me show you my 5 moves of doom, and that's all I'm going to do. He did the least amount possible in the world title. What an asshole. Like, that's the move, right? Like, that is a genius move, right? And John is playing into these people. In my opinion, the way that John is going is playing into our hands of being, okay, what is actually going to get over as a bad guy in 2025, right? Because everybody's smart to the business, right? And what is going to get John over as a bad guy? Because we're going into his last year, and now all the people that were booing him are cheering him and saying thank you. They're all hypocrites. I'm one of them, right? I'm one of them. I didn't understand how good John Cena was until it was too late, right? But he just comes out and does that whole thing, right? And here's the thing I don't get about pro wrestling. And Travis Scott came out, did the whole thing. I didn't get that either. Like, I didn't get that either. I just, it was weird. It was odd, but it's a bad, like, I don't get the world that we live in of, like, when did we stop liking pro wrestling to the fact that it's just like, when a bad guy's doing something shitty, we're like, oh, I can't watch this anymore. This is stupid. All that time. No, that's the point, right? That's the point. We want to see Cody Rhodes beat the shit out of Travis Scott, correct or incorrect, after he smoked him in the face and popped his eardrum. Everybody wanted to see Cody. Cody's going to get a receipt. Cody needs to get a receipt. And then the moment Cody gets a receipt, everybody's like, why is Travis Scott involved in the main event of WrestleMania? I don't get it. I don't get the bitching. It's not for me. Like, I'll be honest with you, it's not for me, but I'm not going to bitch about it, right? Because I like actually hating something so it can be better. Right? Like, that's the point, right? Like, that's the point. Like, John Cena is so good right now at being like, oh, this is boring. This is stupid. I'm captivated by his promos. But that match, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Right? And John was just like, it's just playing into all of our hands. Right? Like, we were playing into John's hands, I mean. And that's my opinion. Like, that's my opinion. I think John did exactly what he set out to do, right? And by the way, he protected himself because he's a Hollywood star now, too. So he doubled down on it, right? So I am still going to give the match 2 stars. I wasn't a fan of the match, but mostly I wasn't a fan of the match because John Cena was being so much of a dick. And that's the point. He's a bad guy, right? And all this online bitching about John shouldn't have done this and Rock should be involved and things like this and blah, 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 is like, I'm looking at it like, yeah, The Rock should have been involved. And I'm mad The Rock didn't show up, but Rock's a bad guy and he's the boss. That seems like a pretty shitty boss to not show up and just take all the credit, right? So I'm playing into his hands. Travis Scott showed up. I hated that Travis Scott punched Cody in the side of the face and at Elimination Chamber, and Cody got his receipt. So I'm happy about that, right? And then John Cena did the least amount possible to win the world championship because we've always said he's only got 5 moves. And he just goes, okay, I'll show you 5 moves. I'll show you your 5 moves. And guess what? These 5 moves just became the world champion. Right? Like, that's like, I thought it was incredible. The match wasn't, a New Japan classic, right? And I would have preferred a banger to end WrestleMania, but story-wise, John made me so pissed. And he's a heel. That's the point, right? So I'm just sick of the online complaining a little bit. So I'm going to try to stay as positive as I can. I can't tell you that I'm always going to stay positive in these videos, right? I can't tell you that, right? Because I get very passionate about pro wrestling. I get very frustrated. And sometimes I'll want event, right? But I thought this was a pretty good WrestleMania, pretty good show. Now, I want to close the show about talking about the MVPs of the weekend, in my personal opinion, right? And this has all over wrestling who I think the MVPs of the weekend is. Number 5 is Joey Janela. He's a giver, right? He did an unbelievable job. And again, if you have a problem with Joey Janela, you have a problem with me. I get he's not everybody's cup of tea, but just because you look at pro wrestling or look at something differently and can enjoy it in a different way and try to present it something different, that's just part of evolution. That is just part of acceptance. And Joey, keep doing what you're doing because I believe in you. And thank you for making that special moment for Brody's kid because it meant a lot to the people that are Wyatt family members and Dark Order family members and Brody fans. Number 4 is Natalya, right? Natty, come on, proves it again. Unbelievable. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret Hart needs to move over because Natty again delivers. And if she's going to keep on doing these excursions and keep on doing these things to go reinvent herself. Look at Matt Cardona right now, right? Zack Ryder left WWE as just, a throwaway guy that was trying so hard to break through the glass ceiling, right? And he left WWE and came down and smashed down on the glass ceiling because he reinvented himself. And I think Natalya has the capabilities of doing that. Keep on coming out to Rage Against the Machine. I love it. It was unbelievable. And then number 3, right? Number 3 has 3 people in it. Sorry. It is Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Once again, ladies, delivered, right? Specifically Bianca Belair. You guys, I can't speak more highly of the WWE's women division. The men have to pick it up. The women are carrying this. I think in my opinion, for the 3rd year in a row, the women blew the men out of the water at WrestleMania, and I thought it was unbelievable. So I have 3 picks for the MVP for number 3. Sorry. Number two is Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling. He is a pro wrestler. He is a journalist, right? He has been doing videos. He has been wrestling all. He's been wrestling all weekend. He's been doing videos all weekend. He has been doing, and he's been enjoying time with his friends and his family. His What Culture family. He is manifesting, trying to be booked at a major wrestling promotion in the United States by sometime this year, and I'm going to manifest it with it. I listen to this guy pretty regularly because I like his views. Someone needs to pick him up. Let's just put it at that, right? He's funny. He's charismatic. He's talented. He's friendly. He likes his fans. And also, guess what? He's a good worker, right? And I wanted to mention Simon Miller because a lot of my opinions will echo through because we carry a same common interest. But that dude was on top of it, not only wrestling, but also on top of it with his friends and his news videos and all that type of stuff. Simon Miller, I hope I'm going to manifest this with you. WrestleMania weekend next year, you're going to be somewhere, buddy. And then finally, John Cena. It has to be John Cena. 17 world titles. Like I said in the main event breakdown, I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do, being a heel-wise. And I hate the world that we live in with pro wrestling specifically now, that if it's not my cup of tea, it's wrong, right? And let's not forget the classic pro wrestling and the things we love about pro wrestling, which is the bad guys are jerks and the good guys eventually beat their heads in, right? But we can't get to the end of that story without a heel being an unbelievably good heel. And I think John, I was worried when he turned heel that he's been such a good guy for so long that he won't be able to do it. But John has proven once again that he is one of the best in the world. And he's certainly got more than 5 moves, but he didn't show them at WrestleMania, which I thought was incredible. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening to this. I'm going to keep on doing this. I'm not always going to talk about WWE. I do love WWE, right? I do love AEW, right? I'm a big TNA guy, right? And I watch a lot of the indies in America. I watch a lot of Japanese pro wrestling. So we're going to do a bunch of different things. But if you want to talk about a topic, or if you want me to break down a topic, or if you want you to hear my opinion on a topic, let me know. You can text me if you got my phone number. You can message me on here. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I want to talk about wrestling. Sometimes I want to talk about video games. Sometimes I want to talk about movies. It was a big weekend for me, right? Like, there was Star Wars Celebration that I want to talk about eventually, and then there was WrestleMania. I'm planning my wedding. So it was just a crazy, crazy weekend. But I just wanted to get on here and tell you my opinions about pro wrestling, and thank you for listening. If you like video games, you can follow me on Twitch. I do play a lot of video games, and I like to watch, or I like to live watch wrestling sometimes, but I mostly play video games with my buddy Scott. We have some guest appearances. Come on and check us out live, or check out some of my old videos on Twitch. It is Save Us JTC. You can see it in the corner there. You can also follow me on YouTube at save_us_JTC. You can follow me on Instagram at SaveUsJTC, one word collectively. You can also follow me on Twitter at SaveUsJTC, one word collectively. And then my dog Gumbo right? You can follow him on Instagram. He's a French bulldog. His name is Gumbo, the Childish Gambino. If you're not going to follow me for anything, at least follow him. He's cute, he's funny, he's friendly, and he loves pro wrestling. And his number one favorite professional wrestler is Samoa Joe, just like his dad. So thank you for joining us. And let me know if there's anything you ever want to talk about. Come hang out with us on Twitch. We'll see you soon.